come up with your own dance with it. All right. All right, y'all. So welcome to the second season of what was once called Shasta Shout Outs. Now it's the table topics, and we're going to do it one more time. Okay. So, thank y'all for joining. I'm excited to kick off this season of Shasta's Table Topics. Look, I'm so excited I can't even say my own name. So these are a series of candid conversations with student affairs, other ACC departments, and we want to talk to students and community members and to get to know each other better, talk about the strategies, and remember, we want to add that humanizing approach. We are so much more than the work that we do. If you ever have an opportunity to just sit down with a colleague, whether they're in your department or in another department or in a whole nother division within the college, you'll recognize that people are so much more than that work. What moved them into this space or how they got here, you're just sitting there in awe. Sometimes probably even needing a tissue. But it's the beauty of who people are that brings us all together. And so for table topics, we want to humanize people, and we want to humanize our work. And we want to spend a little bit more time talking about what makes us click. How do we connect with the strategies that we have in student affairs? How do we connect with the Chancellor priorities for the entire college? So that's what this is all about as you really think about that. So as we think about this work, I want us to think about who we are as people, the work that we do, and the students in the community that we serve. And today I have the great fortune to be able to learn first in the first segment from Dr. Janelle Green. And before we jump right in and I start asking her questions where she thinks she's on her next interview, I want to kind of give a little bit of background about Janelle. See, and then I actually got to hear her story, and it's so moving. And so I want to start again with her bio, and then we'll jump right into some questions. That sound good, Dr. Green?
Good.
All right. And so I'm going to give you this mic or that mic, whichever one you want, so you can turn it on. And then when we jump in, they'll be able to hear you in outer space. So first about Janelle. Janelle is the inaugural director for the ACC Make It Center. Dr. Green has more than 21 years of diverse experience in higher education. She joined the ACC Make It Center team after serving as accelerator manager for 3 years. Janelle has a Bachelor of Science from Central Michigan University and a Master's of Business Administration from Loyola University in Maryland. And she completed her Doctorate of Education in Organizational Leadership and Higher Education at Abilene Christian University. Shout outs, I see some shout outs already out there. So again, just seeing and learning about Dr. Green becomes important. But one of the things I would like for you to share, Dr. Green, is for you to tell us more about your story. Like, tell us, where'd you grow up and what were some of the experiences that have shaped who you are today?
That is hard to do 45 years of a winding experience in a few minutes, right?
You're not supposed to tell your age.
Oh, yeah, right. So I'm a Midwest girl. I grew up in Michigan. My parents divorced. I was about 5 years old, and I saw my mom demonstrate a lot of hard work and extreme faith in rebuilding her life. She, prior to that, had stayed home, and she played Mass as an organist, one Mass a week at a Catholic church. And so she rebuilt it. She started with cleaning houses. She cleaned the house of her lawyer, and through word of mouth, she built up a cleaning business. So I saw her resilience and just an entrepreneurial spirit as well. Education was important to her, and so she wanted my brother and I to have a Catholic education. Didn't have money for private school, but we were sponsored because of her involvement with church, and then she also gave of her time to our school. The other thing is she would take us, we lived in a trailer park, and so we had a bookmobile that came out, and she took us to the bookmobile every week to make sure we picked up books and that we read and that we just dreamed of like what could be. My aunt is the one who planted a seed for college. So I was middle school, and she never had the opportunity, and she just kind of said, JJ, my family calls me JJ, JJ, you can do it. Like, you can, college is an opportunity. And so she kind of planted that seed. And all I knew at that point is we didn't have money, but smart kids got scholarships. so we really commit to school, right? And so I was a diligent student and was involved in different activities and stuff like that. Fast forward to high school, and I had identified where I wanted to go. Originally, I wanted to be a physical therapist, and so I was looking at Central Michigan University. We packed up in our minivan, my mom, my brother, my grandma, my grandpa, and we went to campus to see campus and meet with everybody there. And I loved it, like just the feel of being on campus, the energy, just the opportunity, like all of the opportunity out there. Unfortunately, it's also when we found out what the price of college was, and we got back into the car to head home, and my mom said, aren't you glad we visited? Now you know we can't afford it. And so I sat in the back seat, determined to find a way, and also like just the weight, carrying the weight of that. So for me, the way was starting at community college. I was able to stay at home, I was able to keep my job, and I also qualified for work study. So I got a work study job in human resources. And human resources, all the people in that office, they became my mentors and my guides. They showed me how to navigate college, they shared how to transfer, they showed how to access scholarships, like all of that stuff. So they really kind of got me through. And then once I transferred, my RA, I lived on campus. My RA invited me to different experiences, leadership experiences, serving as a floor rep to hall council, and then I served as a hall rep to the residence hall assembly, and all of that kind of stuff, right? So unknowingly, that was kind of the beginning of this winding career in student affairs. That wasn't the plan. That was kind of a way to get through college at the time. But yeah, So I think the thing for me that's been impactful is I've had people believe in me and see opportunity, see potential, and then mentor me towards that. So the journey has not been traveled alone. I've had a lot of people come alongside me and kind of invite me into experiences. And so, yes, I think that's shaped just how I go about life and about work, as well as being that for someone else.
You know, it's interesting. You talked about you hit on so many things that we talk about all the time that our students experience, and you embody what we talk about in terms of just our students' environment and how they have to think about the decisions when their family says, I want this for you so much, but right now. So it's just not right now. So how did you then make your way to ACC and become a river bat? So big questions here. How did you get started in your career, and what led you on the path that you're on, and what are some of the challenges you faced along the way? I know this is a lot of questions, and she's trying to think about how much time.
I know, I'm like, where's the time card? Where am I at? You're the okay, all right. Yeah, so I didn't intend for a career in higher education. I actually started my professional career in mental health, behavioral health, and experiential education. So I worked originally at a state psychiatric hospital on the admissions unit for adults, and then I transitioned to a position at Johns Hopkins Bayview in their community psychiatry program, and I worked with middle school and high school students who were identified as at risk for various reasons. And so the program was called Baltimore Student Assistance Program. It was in the schools, and it was life skills, academic support, mentoring type programs, and so that's what I did. During that time, I decided to go back to school and do a graduate program because I wanted to run a grant program more effectively than the one was being run that I was working for. Yeah, right. So I went back to school, and I was doing graduate school in the evenings after working full-time, and because I had no business background, when I plotted it out, it was going to be 6.5 years of going to school 4 nights a week after working full-time, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to happen, right? So I was trying to just think, how do I do that? Like, how can I make it work to go back to school full-time? Which my housing background, being an RA, came back into play because Loyola had graduate assistants positions, and so they had graduate hall directors, and so I applied for that, and I applied to Loyola and got accepted, and I got one of the positions, so that allowed me to live on campus, and then I also got another graduate assistantship in student disability services, so that also helped. So that's kind of like how that whole path
Hold
went.
on, this ain't a part of the show, but did y'all know she had a background in mental health, student disability service? Did y'all know that? So I'm seeing your full circle here, okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good. Yeah. So then, my position at Loyola, I think, is really what had me see the multiple positions that could really be careers in higher education. Right. I ended up landing in housing and residence life for a while. So I worked in operating residence halls and doing all of that kind of stuff for several years, and then I ended up working at the Dean of Students office in UT with leadership, student engagement, leadership programs, and then teaching intercultural education, cross-cultural communication, and intergroup dialogue classes there. And so there's been a couple times, honestly, I've tried to leave higher ed. I tried to get out and do some consulting for a while, which was really great. I left to build my fitness. I had started a fitness business while I was at UT, and I left to build that up more, but something always just pulls me back. So the way that I got back to going back to becoming a river bat is I was doing my fitness business and enjoying it, but I just felt like a void. I felt the void of being a part of a larger community that values learning and growth, that pours into other people, and that just contributes to transformation. And so I applied for a job with Student Life. So I started back with Student Life here. Yeah, we have some alumni, right? Student Life alumni. And then have just, again, been a community of people who continue to pour into me and help me grow.
I think about your story, and something that resonates with me so much is just you talking about the bookmobile. And, it was an opportunity for you to read and to grow. I'm getting choked up like you were about to when you were. And then I just think about just your background in terms of where you've been and understanding people. And then it leads me to really asking the question about, I really want to know more about the Make It Center, because I'm thinking about just your visions of wonder, of your background, and understanding those challenges in your life moment. And then thinking about what the Make It Center will provide for young people, for adults, our community, business, and industry. So will you tell us, because I'm super excited, will you tell us a little bit more about making it? Because clearly your background has demonstrated that you've been able to do that, and Make It almost is that love story between your background and where you are today. Can you tell us more about Make It and all the wonder of it?
Yeah, it's been such a project. It's been such an honor to be on this project, and we're building our teams. Thank you, those of you that are here supporting and supporting online, but phenomenal team. And essentially, like you just said, had I not had people who exposed me to things, who invited me into things, who reached out to me, I wouldn't really even know it's possible either. And so I think the Make It Center is designed to do that, is to just let people know what are the opportunities out there, and then to pour into you, help you get connected, invite you into an experience, and surround you with people who will support you. And so that's kind of, I guess, my heart in the Make It Center. We've had conversations about getting out in the community. I would love to have a mobile Make It Center, like a bookmobile, where you get out in the community.
You know what
I mean? When you get out in the community and take experiences to people, it's that first kind of seed and exposure, right? So it's coming together. We're still under construction. The space kind of comes together and then gets torn up, and comes together and gets torn up. But we've completed substantial construction. There's some follow-up items that are being done. I see that there's some slides up here. I'll just point to this. We've got our team, like I said, is coming together. We've got our managers in place. So Adrian Perez and Mary Roby and Tim Outlaw are our managers of programming, operations, and guest experience in IT and AV, and then they're building their teams. So we've welcomed on Maria Yavarino and Randy Wedland, AJ Mays, as some of our full-time staff as well. Some of the pictures up here show that. So Curtis Stevens is our executive dean, and Willie is our AVC that's supporting the project. And so one of the pictures shows us at one of the construction walkthroughs. You see the picture with Pepper, our robot, who we're learning more.
Tell us about Pepper.
We're learning more about Pepper and Pepper's functionalities, but Pepper is used in some industries as an entire, in the hotel industry, as the receptionist and concierge. Pepper will check in guests, show them to their rooms, let them know of the local attractions. Pepper can work in retail and help you design a sneaker and place your order for your custom sneaker. Pepper can give tours, and Pepper has the ability to do facial recognition and be a greeter, all kinds of stuff that we're learning about. So So the picture right here shows Randy and Maria in one of our spaces with Pepper. And then the Fab Lab, Adrian and AJ are creating a ton of really cool projects that go along with our programming efforts in the Forge and the Fab Lab area. And so that's a picture of one of the Lego projects that people could do, and then kind of a safe or a piggy bank lockbox type of project people could do as well.
And how do they open that lockbox?
They open it with a secret tool that only they have access to. Come and find out when it's ready to be built. And then the other one just shows a lot of the equipment that's going to be in the Square One showroom, where it kind of highlights businesses and industries and the career paths within them. So that's just a glimpse of some of the equipment that will help expose people to what's possible.
So when do we open, Janelle? Because you're telling us all this stuff, Dr. Green. So when do we open?
We have several events planned for March as like a soft opening. We are shooting for a mid-April grand opening, but yet to be confirmed by College Marketing.
So, and I know we have 5 minutes left in this segment, so thank you so much. Probably 4 now, I'm sorry. But I have to ask her 2 more questions, if that's okay with y'all. How can your colleagues across the college help with ensuring the success of the ACC Make It Center? Show
up, come visit, bring your friends, bring your family, use the space. Really, we want everyone to just use the space. Come in, check it out. Tinker around, experience it yourself, and hopefully that promotes you and encourages and inspires you to share it with your neighbors, your kids, your friends, your nieces, nephews, whoever, and encourage use of the space. If you've got programs and events, we've got spaces to hold them. Come on in. And then the other part is that, we know I tell the team we're going to hit more than we're going to miss, but we're going to have some misses, right? And so give us feedback. Give us the feedback of how we can continue to evolve, how we can continue to improve. We want to remain relevant with what's going on in our community. So if you want to see something happen in the space, let us know. Because like I said, we're gonna open and be phenomenal, but we can always continue to improve and enhance and evolve.
So last question, I promise. So what advice would you give other young leaders or students who are just starting out?
I think a couple of things. One is stay green, and I'll get back to this in a minute. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, and absorb opportunity. When I say stay green is, I think of when you're green, you grow, when you're ripe, you rot. And so when you stay green and when you stay kind of humble to what you know and what you don't know, then you're always going to continue learning.
Well, you've heard it from Dr. Green. She said, stay what? Green. All right, because if you don't, you rot. So one, Dr. Green, it was so amazing. I remember the first time I met you, I was in another department, and just your kindness and care to think about, okay, we've never done this before, Shasta, but you saying we doing it and we partnering with this other group, but you already were thinking thoughts of how to get there. And now, but I never knew your story. I never knew who you were, in terms of who's behind Dr. Green. And it has been such a blessing and an honor to know more about you, know your background, and how we were able to be honored with your presence in leading our inaugural ACC Make It Center. So would you all help me thank Dr. Green?
Thank you. Thanks, y'all.
So I am so honored to be able to welcome Dr. Ruth Reinhart. She's our Associate Vice Chancellor of Student Support Services, and Kathy James, our Executive Dean of Academic Advising and Affinity Programs. Well, did I hear an owl in the back? All right. So I'm so excited to be able to talk to both of you this afternoon and really kind of talk about what does it mean when we think about advising and caseload management, right? And this is a student affairs priority, but it's also been in the past, I want to say, embedded in Chancellor priorities in the past. So before we jump in, Dr. Reinhart and Kathy Will, I actually have questions. So let me jump in and get to the nitty gritty because I want to know. How would you define student success, and what role does advising play in achieving and solving barriers or removing those barriers so students can be successful? Dr. Reinhart?
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. First, I want to say that I'm really passionate about student success. If you don't know, I'm a first-generation college student. And unlike Janelle, I didn't have anybody to guide me through that process, so I had to kind of figure that for myself. So I'm really passionate about the work that we all do together to really propel student success at ACC, so I want to thank each and every one of you, because you all make impact. I want you to know that. So with that, I think we probably all have different definitions of what student success is, but for me, it's really about giving students that holistic educational opportunity, to grow academically and professionally, right? They learn from us, we serve as mentors, they look up to us, and so that's our role here at ACC, to really support students through their journey. And that includes, providing them with our excellent instructional, our instructional partners across the way that really provide that instruction in the classroom. We are very blessed at ACC that we have so many support services that students are able to have access to. And then, of course, engagement, actively engaging them inside and outside the classroom. So that really, all those components really propel student success at ACC. And so I want to tell a little story. So I think last year I went to a conference that Dr. Humphrey and Dr. Buchanan asked me to go to. And one of the presidents from a college that was presenting said something that was so just on point. She said, when you work at a community college, we are the gatekeepers of our students' dreams and goals. And that's what we are. We have so much responsibility for our students to ensure that they're successful at ACC, and it takes all of us. You might not think that your role at ACC is important, but sometimes students just are scared to come out of that car in that parking lot to come in to even say hello. And so we all are, student success is not just student affairs job, it's not instruction, it's everybody's job. So I just, again, want to say thank you, and that really kind of speaks to my heart about how passionate I am about student success at ACC. In terms of advising, wow. So if you don't know, I started at ACC 16 years ago, and I was a counselor with many colleagues who are now administrators. And so back in the day, we didn't have technology, y'all. We had paper, triplicate paper, right? I remember when Dr. Bradfield and I used to, because we were at South Austin, and we'd be there, and we'd get there in the morning during peak, and there'd be like a long line of people to kind of come in and try to get, we didn't have any kind of, we were just like a cafeteria plan. Just come, pick what you want. There was no rhyme or reason to what we were doing. Then comes in guided pathways, and that really, I think that's what was really pivotal for us as an institution to really help us guide students on their pathway. So we developed, the AOS programs. We work with instruction to develop those program maps. We, and we keep evolving. And then we developed, we had appointments for students, actually. We went to students, and then we got some technology. And so we're moving in the right directions, but I think all those pieces, academic alert, this semester we launched in the fall, we launched the college student inventory for students. So we're doing all these efforts to really holistically provide students all the things that they need so they can really propel their success at ACC. And while we're not perfect, right, and we keep punching at it. And so I think the latest thing is the case management that we just instituted in the fall. And we can tell it's been different. It's a different culture for us, but it's making a difference for our students. And Kathy will talk about that. But I think all the work that we do, it's, all the affinity programs that we have, all the special cohorts we have, everything that we do, it really helps with advising and keeping students on the track so they can meet their goal. So I just, again, want to say thank you for all the work that each of you do, because we couldn't do this without y'all.
Well, Dr. Reinhart doesn't realize that she made me think of Minnie Riperton, who some back down memory lane. So Dr. Reinhart took us back down memory lane. So she's saying, look, we were doing paper and pencil, Scantron, advising, and some other things, but we've come a long way. And so I think that's important to understand, to look in the past. I don't know if you heard me at the board meeting when I said, we're reading this book called Theory U, and Sherber was talking about the two different ways people learn, or the processes of learning, and one is learning from the past, the other is learning by actualizing the emerging future. future. And so I think it's beautiful how you helped us understand our past and how do we actualize now the emerging future to better support our students. I love what you said about being gatekeepers of our students' dreams and their goals. So being their dream keeper, being their accountability partner to ensure that they can realize those goals becomes so important. So Kathy, when we think about being dream keepers and being their accountability for goals, how do we do that? How do we measure? How do we look at metrics to evaluate the effectiveness of our advising services and how we track and measure student success so we can continue to be their trusted partner to help them realize their goals and be their dream keepers?
Thank you. Mike, am I good? Awesome. Because I always think I can out-talk any Mike. But, you know, I can't even begin to even broach that, the answer or response to that without acknowledging all of the student affairs, all of the programs, and all the people that are involved with this process. It takes a village, and we've mastered that. All the academic guidance specialists, all the coordinators of all the special programs, the learning labs, the tutors, everybody. This has been a conjunctive effort for all of us to meet these goals. And what I like talking about our new case management process is good. You know, to give you some background, every student at this college has an assigned person. Not all area study advisors, some are success coaches, some are advocates. So it's across the board where the students are receiving the services that they need. We have spent quite a bit of time redefining and restructuring what we consider to be true case management for students. Our average caseload is about 350 to 1, depending on what area you're in. What we're trying to do, though, Shasta, is, oh, sorry. Y'all, I know Shasta. I try to say Dr. Buchanan when I'm in the presence of greatness, but I'm so sorry.
That ain't what you said in that last meeting.
The presence of greatness, so.
It didn't call me greatness in the last meeting.
I called her more wonderful things. But, you know, when we think about the caseload, we have to really be specific and deliberate about the students that we're going to see. So in our model, we have really designed something that would allow us to service all students with an equitable lens, but we know that we have to target some specific students to help us meet Chancellor's priorities and goals. So what we have done is we've come up with a complete comprehensive case management model that allows us to determine who our target groups are, what type of engagement that we want to provide to those students, who are the specific students that we think and believe and based on predictive analytics tell us that we need to be concerned about for our students. So what we've done is we've taken our caseloads and we've really tried to look at who are those students we really need to focus in on and target to help us meet our institutional goals, our Chancellor's priorities, provost. Everybody has the interests of students at heart. It's those that can get directly to those students that can help see that initiative through. So one thing we have done to give you just a graphic of what the world of advising looked like in student support is first we talk about our first time in college students. We had to identify all the groups to understand the measures and the metrics for progress, and are we servicing them in the ways that we need to move the needles for the students, but also for the college as a whole. So our first time in college students we have a focus on, our minority students, predominantly the Black and Hispanic students, because our data is telling us in all of our management model, our processes have all become data-driven. And yes, we have to have measures and assessments to know if the work we're doing is making a difference. FTIC, minority students, predominantly Black and Hispanic, our students with low to moderate GPAs, because when you go below a 2.0, you start to give up, get a little discouraged. And then we also have students that get academic alerts. That can be any student, because we're working closely with our instructors and our faculty constituents to help us identify students in need. And so with a combination of knowing who it is we want to target, using all of our resources at the college to know the students in need, then we give them that directed and customized attention that they need. So what do we do when we decide who those students are and what is it that we want to find out? Persistence and retention is the name of the goal. but we also got to keep in mind what the student's goal is first, right? So we want to know what they want to do and what we can do to support them. But it does come down to, can we keep them here from fall to spring, and then from fall to fall to the point of completion or transfer or getting a job, whichever is the priority for the students. We also, keeping in line with Chancellor priorities, have to consider that for our FTIC students, we want to see them pass math and English within that first year. So we have measures to determine our students that are coming in, are they taking math and English? Can we get them through that in the first year? Because our data says we get them through those 2 courses, the likelihood of persistence increases. The other thing is we want to get our students to pass at least 15 credit hours a year, right? And that seems like a little thing to do, but we have a population of transient students and part-time students. And if they're only taking 1 or 2, maybe 3 classes, and they drop 1 or 2 or 3 classes every semester, that 15 hours is a hard metric for us to try to meet sometimes, but at least we're being deliberate in the work that we do with students to try to achieve that. So we're talking about persistence fall to fall, fall to spring. We're talking about course completion over a period of a year. We're talking about particular gateway courses that we want our students to complete. And so all of our efforts for case management goes into that, trying to reach the students that we have identified and trying to talk to them, engage with them to get them to complete. And how do we measure that? We have our technology finally in place that Ruth mentioned. She took us back to paper and pencil, and then when we got elevated to technology, we had like 10 different technologies at a time. We had to open this one and then open that one and then open this one, and then we scroll through this one, and it's like, which way, minute? And we only had 1 screen, and so trying to toggle between all those documents, it was a challenge, and then you're trying to look at the student like, I do know what I'm doing, I just can't keep up with all these screens. So we have spent some time truly trying to design and achieve technology that can help us be more efficient in our job. And we are successful at that, and we still need to hone it in, but we are at least in a point where we can help our academic guidance specialists work smart, hard, and not smart and efficient, and not so hard, spending so much time with the technology. So we have our Inspire, which is our case management model. It's where we can do our outreach, whether it's individualized or mass messaging to students, depending on what it is we want to send to them. We can keep our notes. We can get our alerts from our faculty. We can see and sort and check and find and group our students every way necessary to help us to identify the specific students that need our help. When we use that technology, we're able to literally see what our progress is.
Now, is this the Domo?
Yes, this is.
Hold on, Kathy, that was my question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You don't give me no mic and tell me to talk about case management. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, let me listen. Yes, they are.
Okay, so Kathy, we're gonna put these 2 together. Mm-hmm. So talk to us through the upcoming Domo dashboard, mm-hmm. and you got to tell us then, because she's about to raise that 1-minute card.
Yeah.
Talk to us about Domo and the greatest benefits to students.
So I did cheat and see what the questions are, so I was trying to roll it all up in there together. Because I did not want to miss my 5-minute mark and had a Sandman come drag me off or something. So yes, the management, the model, the intent and purpose is to support our students. Domo is our latest, newest, greatest technology, because I had a spreadsheet that crashed my computer every time I tried to create another spreadsheet to figure out the easiest way to provide to campuses and advisors the information about their caseloads. And it was a spreadsheet among spreadsheets and bars and graphs and charts. Now we took that poor effort of mine to create an Excel database and created a true dashboard that we can use for our case management. And we are gonna have sessions that can demonstrate demos, yes. So come, when you see those invitations, see it, come check it out. Yes, say that 10 times. Right? I actually said that to Ruth one day. Say that, stop. But we can see, We have the technology to really measure where we're going, are we progressing, and we can compare semester to semester, year to year. So
I see, because how this is going to work. And one of the things that you shared, because I have a question for Dr. Reinhart, is that this process isn't about being punitive. It truly is about how we work together as colleagues and how we look at, there may be a semester where we're seeing in a particular content area that students are having a tough time. It really is about working as colleagues to say, what's going on here? What are you seeing? Because this is your caseload, and to be able to have that vibe off of each other. So as we think about that and think about going from triplicates, which included the carbon copies, to spreadsheets through the universe and with one screen, what are you most excited about, Dr. Reinhart, when you think about caseload management?
Well, as you can see from the dashboard already, that we are making impact for students, and I think it's important for our employees to understand, our academic guidance specialists, to understand the impact they're making with their students, because they have real-time data, and that really drives their work. So that'll be really helpful. And I think, and so this is more for the advisors, right? But these success coaches also are going to have a dashboard as well. And they've been doing some amazing intentional work with our co-board cohort. And so I wanted everyone to know that they have been doing this kind of case management before case management was a real thing for us, because it is because of the hard work that they do that we have raised our graduation rate from 8% to 23%. And we're working on it. We're trying, we had a meeting this morning, and we're really going to try to hit that 25 as our goal. But so they've been doing some amazing work. So so what's exciting, I think, is our partnership with instruction. They are launching some faculty advising on their end and how we work with them, because as you know, as our students come in, we kind of want to maintain our caseloads for our academic guidance specialists so they're not overloaded. And so that partnership is going to be really important for us in order to continue to provide students the support they need holistically. I'm also excited about more technology that we're trying to launch. We're trying to launch through Inspire. As we talked about, we had a consultant come in last year, and they all talked about how passionate all of our employees were about the work that we do at ACC. That was one thing that came out shining, that everybody was really committed to the work we do here at ACC. But they also told us, as Kathy said, that we have too many platforms. And so the thing that I'm excited about is we are going to be launching through Inspire, we're going to be launching a student view, which will give student really a capability to see any messages from their advisor, from the academic guidance specialist. They'll be able to see their progress. They'll be able to see a lot of information. So it's going to be kind of student viewing for them. So that's going to be really good for students. We're also going to be launching texting out of Inspire. We're going to launch a calendar out of Inspire. So already, we're already kind of getting ready through technologies for our staff members, and they're going to be really happy about that. And then in the future, we're also going to do a kiosk, where it's a virtual kiosk for people so students can kind of sign in to see their advisor and things of that nature. So, I think every year we're trying to get better, as Kathy mentioned. We have to pivot sometimes, but I'm really excited about the work that we're all doing together. And so we support, it's like with the learning labs and the tutors, it takes all of us to make our students be successful here at ACC.
Well, Dr. Reinhart and Kathy, it has been an honor and a privilege just to sit among you and to work with you and watch all the great work that your teams are doing. I think what becomes so important, we think about the Shasta Shout Outs. If you heard from Dr. Green to Dr. Reinhart and Kathy, they've been shouting out their teams the whole part. It's the thread of what we do. There's no one person on an island, doing this work. There are a whole lot of talented, very experienced and passionate, as the consultant said, people making sure that our students, we can be their dream keepers and we can be their accountability partner to ensure they achieve their goals. So thank y'all so much for sharing the work on behalf of your team. The next segment really is about a departmental spotlight here in Student Affairs. And if you think about the work, you start with Dr. Green and all the great work and really bringing about the ACC Make It Center. And I don't know if you shared this, Dr. Green, but it's 10,000 square feet of space here at the college that has been renovated to be able to provide that experience. Then you think about the work of our advising teams and our success coaches and thinking about how critical that piece is, as they mentioned. And I think it's a beautiful way you kind of captured that, Dr. Reinhart, in terms of being the gatekeepers for their dreams and their accountability partner to ensure they realize their goals. But how do we get students there? Because it's not all peaches and cream. or herb, that was a group. It's not all of that. You know, students need to be celebrated when they're doing a great job, because that 70 is amazing when the 70 could have been a 30. When a student makes an A, it's worth celebrating. But when that student comes to us and they need that support, knowing that from the classroom, meeting with their advisor, but now I've got to pass this class, because giving up isn't an option. When you think about what Dr. Green said in terms of her work, you know, this is what I want to do, so how do I get there? But what does support look like? So I am so fortunate to be surrounded by our Learning Lab teams. Am I correct? I'm going to say y'all's titles real good so I can be better at this, okay? So let's start. So I'm going to start on, this is my right hand, on my right side. We have LaTina Branch, Regional Director of Academic Support Services for the North. She's based out of the Cypress campus. Then I have Jeffery Harris, Regional Director, Academic Support Services in the South, based out of Hayes. Awesome. I tried to figure out if Jeffery wants to be called Jeffrey or Jeff. He told me whatever, so we're going to go with Jeffrey today. Then I have Dr. Deidre Albert Green, Director of Online Support and Embedded Services. And last but never least, I have Jose Resendez, Regional Director of Academic Support Services for the Central. You're based in Elgin. So y'all, let's jump into these questions, because I want to know more about what's going on. And I think it's important because y'all have shared with me before just the time it takes and that collaborative spirit that you have to have in your area. So what is the impact of embedded tutoring? What impact is it having with regard to persistence and student success? Dr. Albert Green, you want to take that?
Sure. I actually think embedded services is the poster child of actualizing a future, emerging future. When I first started here, we had about 20 sections and a few tutors from the in-person learning labs and also the online learning lab that were working with distance education to provide these services, embedded services in the classroom, putting tutors there to help support the students. We have grown in a 3-year period of time, it's been 3 years, to around 220 sections now that our faculty have requested. And so we are working collaboratively with distance education, we're working collaboratively with our faculty, working collaboratively as a group with the learning labs, and our persistence has gone up to 14 points, 14% from semester to semester. And just wanted to give a shout out to our boss, Dr. Monique Johnson-Jones. She doesn't like that, but who is always supportive.
She was writing something, so maybe she didn't like it. She was like, don't.
But who is always supportive in investing in the program and growing our programs. Because of that support, we have hired a new full-time coordinator that helps us with our data, because we know that we can only grow if we know, if we're data informed and know what's going on in our different situations. And I also want to thank Dr. Martinez, her boss, who supports her and supporting us in doing those things.
Yeah, that's a good shout out. Dr. Albert Green she said, we still shouting out. So then the next question, I think Jose, since they passed the mic, that lets me know who's taking the question. So describe the collaborative nature, because Dr. Albert Green kept mentioning collaboration. So describe the collaborative nature of this being a Chancellor priority for the first 2 years. I think that's important for the audience to realize, and our colleagues across the college. This was a Chancellor priority twice, and that this priority served over 9,000 students. So what was that collaborative nature? Did that play a role, being a part of the Chancellor priority, in the success? And can you explain a little more about what it takes to create and implement embedded tutoring? That was
Absolutely.
a lot. Okay.
That's quite a bit. But I'll start by saying absolutely the fact that this was a Chancellor priority, it played a huge role in this, just because it helped us. It comes back to that theme of alignment. And when I think about alignment, I like to think about it in two different but very much related terms, which is vertical and horizontal. So having that Chancellor priority, that gave us that vertical structure that we needed. So everybody from our tutors on the front line to our supervisors, managers, to you all the way up to Dr. Rhodes, we all were on that same page of we need embedded tutoring, and this is a big need, and we need to make it happen. So that kind of enabled us and empowered us to really explore the lateral aspect or the horizontal aspect, and that's cross-departmental. One of our biggest allies in this was our faculty. We had so many conversations with so many different departments about how to, anything from what do you need, what can we provide, training, all of those things helped us to get their buy-in. So we built that together. We had those conversations, and that's kind of what came out of it. And so I just want to give a big shout out to faculty for being with us on this journey, for allowing our tutors to be in their courses and to help support our students, because the evidence speaks for itself. We had so much lifts and persistence, and the demand is growing. We have, with over 220, Deidre sends us emails, hey, I need an embedded tutor for this. And, we make it happen. We know the students need it. And the other team I want to give a big shout out to is our IT team. There was so many things that went on the back end. And that's another one of our horizontal partners, so to speak, that we had to go across the department and say, hey, we need our students to be in the Blackboard course. We need them to be able to have video conferences with their students. And so, yeah, it was just a huge collaborative effort. And I think, the results that we've come up with kind of speak for themselves on that.
I love how you talked about the vertical and the horizontal, and when I think about that, I think about the plus symbol, that it's more than just one department. It's plus, you keep adding in terms of really supporting students, that it's not cliche when we say it takes a village, because one department can't do it on its own. That was so wonderful. I really appreciate that, just that thinking of how we do that. So I know the Learning Lab is always innovating for student success. What are the most recent initiatives or successes? And because I saw LaTina turn on her mic, that's her question.
Thank you, Dr. Buchanan. And again, I'd like to thank everybody here for coming out. Well, right now, and I just want to start, when our department, before COVID, we provided all of our services in person. And then the pandemic hit, and due to the work of Dr. Johnson Jones and Dr. Albert Green, we went from having her 7 online tutors providing virtual tutoring services within about 3 weeks, where all 350 plus of all of our Learning Lab tutors were online. I feel like that.
Good,
okay. We're all online providing services to our students, because our ultimate goal is to provide the best services that we can for our students, and part of that is meeting them where they are. And I want to say that because at that time we had pieced together 3 different platforms: BrainFuse, Freshdesk, and Google Meet, Zoom, where it was a student making an appointment, then we have to find the tutor, and then we have to send it to the tutor, and then the tutor reaches to the student.
That sounds like what Dr. Reinhart was saying.
So that was like our carbon copy paper of getting tutoring services online. Well, now fast forward, we're now using an Upswing tutoring platform where the students can find their tutor, they can schedule appointments with their tutors if they want to meet with them online, and then they, in this same space, have their online session. And so that really helped us out, and we can use data to see what subjects most students are looking for, where we need to have more tutors or times. Actually, it was because of the students that starting February 13th, the Cypress Creek Learning Lab, the Hayes Learning Lab, and Austin Campus Learning Lab went from closing at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock because students were wanting us to stay open a little later. And so what we do, we try to make sure we keep up with what the students need. We want to get the information and the services out to them the best way we can. So what's on the horizon for us is to just continue to grow our services, both virtual and in person. Now we're doing a lot of our events online now. Also, we will be having our academic support services open house on March the 29th, and it will be virtual. But what we did find out, Dr. Buchanan, but what we did find out is that once we did provide our services both online and in person, we were able to reach a large amount of students. And we also want, again, I want to repeat what Jose said. Thank you to the faculty, and thank you to all of the other areas under student affairs that's getting the word out about our services. Again, we are offering even class visits for instructors, both in person and online, so that way we can, tell the students about our services. But we just want to give a shout out to all of student affairs for just sharing our services to students, getting the word out for us, and we just like to keep doing that. And hopefully, we are looking into possibly offering a writing center for students to get some support in their writing. And does 5 minutes mean stop? Or okay. Thank you.
What I love about what LaTina said, she talked a lot about, listening to what the students' needs were, and right now that becomes so important. Many of us are part of the Provost Council, and we've been talking about that word innovation. And that innovation isn't always just the technology. It's not always about something shiny and new. Innovation is can also be leveraging what you have and making it better. So the leveraging of what we were able to provide for students, but listening to them to know we can serve them and have a deeper reach when we think about things as simple as extending the hours. When we think about finding or identify an elegant solution that allows us to be able to assign, get them at the times they need, and being able to go along space, I think that becomes important. And so because I know that 5 minute came up and we want to leave a little bit of time for some questions from the audience, Jeffery, what's something important you want your colleagues to know when they're working with students about your services?
Okay, I would like them to know that we are a very open, friendly place. And if you do have students who come to you with questions about class, it doesn't matter if you're in the campus manager's office, student life, library, if you can, please physically walk them to the learning lab, and we'd be more than happy to help them out. A lot of faculty, which Jose said, they're our biggest advocate, they actually give students extra points for coming to the learning lab. And so that's a piece that we really, really enjoy, that we get, my instructor made me come, but that's okay. That's good. But a lot of our tutors, these people are so talented. If you can tutor calculus 2 and pharmacology and Spanish and all this other things, I find it amazing. And we know that a lot of our students struggle, especially in the beginning of the semester. When the instructor hands you that syllabus and you haven't seen quadratic equations in 5 years, that can be tough, okay? And we know it takes a lot of courage for students to even ask for help. But please come check us out. We're at every single campus. Our destination campuses are open on the weekends also. So if students need help, and I tell them all the time, the students who are at the beautiful Hayes campus where I am, if it's a Saturday or Sunday, you're in Round Rock, you're at Elgin, you're downtown, you figure, okay, maybe I should study. Please feel, you're an XCC student, and you can go, as long as you have your EID, you can go there, and you can receive services also. So, again, please tell your students if you see them, because we know a lot of times students, they'll just ask the first person they see, and they may not know which person works in what department, and say, hey, can you help me, because I need some help. So please, if you can, physically walk them to the learning lab, and we'll take it from there.
You know what was so great? This pop quiz, we're all educators. What did Jeffery say? What were those subject areas? He said pharmacology. What? And what else? You haven't seen what in 5 years? Quadratic equations. Okay, Jeffery was content dropping and letting you know these are some places in which we see that students need some help and support, that they're seeing that in those spaces. But I think that there was something wonderful about what you said in terms of it takes courage for our students to come in there. So when he was like, physically walk them over, because sometimes it's just, you tell them to go and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go. And then that card and the door looks so inviting to exit out of, as opposed to just going to take care of what needs to be done. So utilizing words mean everything. To say, it takes a lot of courage to know, and confidence in yourself to know as a student, you need some more support in here. So words matter to build up their motivation to want to move into that space. And like you said, our faculty are talented to be tutoring and providing additional support. For that student that has a B and wants an A, come on and see them. Because like my dad used to tell me, those are 10 points of understanding you don't get. And I promise you it'll be those 10 points that are going to be on the final. So go figure it out. And I'm stopping. And so from there, we want to see y'all, if you have any questions. We can take a couple of questions. And managers, if you're listening, any of our managing leaders listening out in outer space, give them a few more minutes before they come back to the office. Don't be mad at them. We were having a good time and went over. So are there any questions out in the audience or in virtual space? Any questions in the audience? Yes.
What's the largest difference you see ACC's position today versus 100 years from now?
Say it one more time.
What's the difference in ACC's position that you see today versus 100 years from now in the future?
Is that question for me, or is it for anybody?
Just everybody.
Okay. Anybody, or y'all want me to start? Okay. 100 years from now, I'll still be here. But I think one of the things that I see is that we have created a culture of innovation. But the culture of innovation and transformation has to be about how we see what's around us evolving. If we're not paying attention to the evolution of what's happening around us, then innovation for its sake is not going to help us. It's just going to be like, ooh, we did a shiny thing, and then we wonder when no one shows up, why? So we need to be very strategic. I think where we're going as a college to get to that 100 years, where we're still advancing the work for our community and students in this country and being a leader in that, is innovating with a purpose, with strategy in mind, to make sure that we can move forward. There was a conference call I was on this morning, and it was just talking about K-12 and how the learning. So how do we partner? You know, Dr. Albert Green and Kathy, you know, everyone was talking about no man is an island. If we go at this work and it's just ACC has to do it all, that is not the right approach. We have to have a collaborative approach so we can do more and better for our community, and that we need to continuously, Dr. Humphrey, our provost, said, you know, the stigma and the stereotype around the community college? Well, it's hard to remove the stereotype, but when people see the skills our students have when they get in that workplace, that starts to demystify all the other things that came so many decades before us related to the community college, because it's about who we place in those spaces. They build our brand. Our students build our brand, and how we support them to get there. So really thinking about our students being at the center of our work, but understanding if they're the center of our work, they're a complex, ever-evolving body. So we must evolve too. So I hope that put just a little bit as a contributing response to your question. Thank you for that.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you.
We can take one more question. Well, y'all, I'm supposed to read something on the card. I'm going to get better at this as the shows go on. So one, I want to thank my distinguished guests. It has been more than an honor and a privilege. One, to just learn more about you, think about how you work, think about your stories that brought you to where you are today. It says a lot. You know, I work alongside of you, but just being able to hear, one, you just shout out colleagues that aren't even in this space, not in shouting out colleagues that aren't even the colleagues that you work with in your day-to-day that's a part of your team. That's much respect. And because we don't go at this alone. So it was just a privilege to hear that we're one college, we work on this together. We're one body. You know, I want everyone to stick around because you know if it's a program with me, we're going to have a little food. So, so there's some snacks. Please make sure that you get that because you're going to need that energy to finish out your Friday. But one of the things I wanted to share is please nominate someone that we can spotlight. That humanizing piece and understanding people's backgrounds and how they are where they are today becomes so important, regardless of title, regardless of position. It's just important to know the very people that love what they do and are passionate about it. So get on that QR code because I don't see anybody picking up their phones.
You made us leave our phones.
Oh, sorry. And nominate someone. Fellowship among yourselves. The next date is tentatively scheduled for April the 14th, 2023. And so we look forward to seeing you in person and virtual. And DJ, will you please kick our theme music as we exit out this space? Thank y'all so much for joining us this afternoon.